on the radar screen from the National Weather Service, a tornado warning. Radar indicated tornado. It's for Livingston County, Illinois, and also, again, there's another one as you head out into southern Will County at this time. And we're continuing kind of to watch this storm system as it makes its way through southern portions of Will County. I'm going to zoom in on it at this time, and this is where we're looking at. So this is out near kind of Reed and then towards Manhattan too. And as you take a wider view, this is moving off to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. I want to switch over to the velocity mode, and again, your camera view kind of shifted a little bit, but you can see it. I just highlighted it in that little box. I'm going to back off just a little bit and show you what we got going on here, deleting this off the screen so that I can give you a nice track on this system again as it moves to the northeast. So you see it on the radar here. There is some kind of broadly defined spin now showing up on the radar screen. And again, as you track this off to the north and east at about 40 miles per hour, I'll give you about the next half hour's worth of locations for it. So by 11:41, it'll be in Wesley. By 11:49, it'll be in Simerton. Sorry if I'm saying your town name wrong. And then by about noontime, it'll be in Wilton, and then Peatone shortly after that. So again, we are watching this on the radar screen now. This is a Doppler indicated tornado, and this warning, I believe, goes for the better part of the next hour. I'm actually going to pull all of this off of the screen so that I can give you a better time frame on when exactly this warning goes to. Yep, there you go. So this is until noontime for you. And again, it extends into portions of Will County. This is south of Joliet, and we're watching it very closely as this system does rotate. And what we've seen in the atmosphere today is just this kind of broad areas of rotation that are firing up on the front end of these storms that are moving in from the west. You actually see one a little bit farther off to the south. It's just north of Pontiac now. And again, we have this one just off to the south of I-55. And if you were watching early this morning, we were saying that these areas kind of along and southwest of I-55 are the spots that we really need to keep an eye out for. And that doesn't look like much of a cell. I mean, when you look at it on the radar, there is not much there. But again, with the rotation that is present in the atmosphere at this time, you have to be careful with these cells because they can rotate in the mid and upper levels of them, and then that rotation can make its way down to the ground. And what you see is kind of these I guess transient would probably be the best word for it. Transient areas of rotation that'll show up in the storm. You'll see some broad rotation that again lowers a little bit. Now, I have not seen any spotter indications of a tornado on the ground or anything like that from out of this. So it is still and does remain still Doppler indicated, and scan by scan, the velocity on this system kind of goes back and forth between being something that looks fairly legitimate, like it's going to drop a tornado, and then kind of going back to a system that doesn't really look like it's producing very much at this. So again, we're watching this very closely as we head through the next better part of 20 or so minutes. That's why the warning isn't very long duration, because you see these, it changes scan by scan, but it is still there. And what you're looking for when you look at the velocity data are greens next to red. You can see inside of this tornado warning. So if you're in Wesley right now, you do need to take your tornado precautions. If you're in Wilmington, also take your tornado precautions. And then Simerton as well, take your tornado precautions. The rotation on the radar here, I'll kind of circle the area for you. As you look at it, I'm going to grab this little icon here. Right about there is where you see it, those greens that are next to red. And again, this is not like crazy circulation, super tight, but there are greens next to red, and that is indicating that there is rotation within the atmosphere. And again, not seeing any current signs of there being a tornado on the ground, but continuing to watch this here as we look into southern Will County. And I've switched radar modes over just a little bit for you as the system very quickly is making its way off to the north and east. And that's the good news here. We haven't seen this warning extended just yet, and this does go for the next next 20 minutes. Again, putting a track on this, I'm going to put it right where we saw the rotation and the other thing, moving off to the north and east about 40 miles per hour. So what that does to the next 20 minutes, so it'll get you through the end of this warning, it puts the system through Wesley in about the next 2 minutes. So again, Wesley, you need to take your tornado precautions. If you don't know what that is, it's the lowest floor in your building, the center room, away from the windows. Again, this doesn't look like a huge cell on the radar, but very quickly do these exhibit rotation. Simmerton as well, and then Wilton 2 minutes before that warning does expire. Wilton, you are not in the tornado warning right now, as you can see from the latest scans from live Doppler 7 Max, but if it does get warned further on down the track, then you will indeed be in it. Right now, again, that storm kind of getting towards the end of that track. I'm going to switch back over to the velocity data because, of course, it does change from scan to scan. And see, here you go again. You look at that rotation, and, well, that looks like pretty decent rotation now in it, just south of Wilmington. So, again, if you live out here in Will County and you live in Simmerton, I would say go ahead and take your tornado precautions now. If you know anybody who kind of lives down in that area, tell them to do the same, too, because those are some pretty good greens right next to reds, again, showing that there is some rotation in the atmosphere. And we can actually pull that up, and I can see for myself, well, that's the tornado warning. I can see for myself exactly how strong those winds are. And it does look like it's fairly tight rotation going until noontime. For down there off to the south. It is moving 35 miles per hour. It's near, let's see, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado over Lakewood Shores or over Wilmington, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. It does look like it's mainly going to stay over kind of some rural areas of southwestern Will County, but still, Simmerton, this is mainly for you. We go on the air, and it doesn't matter how big or small your community is. Of course, if you're in the ABC7 Chicago viewing area, we care very much about you, and we do want to bring you the absolute latest on these storms that are affecting our area. I'm going to switch back over to the radar data and kind of give you a bird's eye view of what's going on as I wait for a new scan from the National Weather Service radar out there in Romeoville to give us some new data on the system. And you can see the area of the most concern. Down in Livingston County, there's also an active tornado warning going on. That one popped on first, probably about 5 or 10 minutes before we saw this little lead storm. And that's where we're most concerned. Basically, if you were to draw a line here, and I'll do that for you, if I were to draw a line from just on the south side of Chicago, kind of back, almost following I-55, if we were to kind of extend the imaginary line back off to the south and west, this is the area where I'm really concerned, because these storms are all by themselves out in front of the line. So they have the rotation in the atmosphere to work with. They're not all gelled up like the thunderstorms that you're seeing in DuPage County right now, or like the really heavy rain that's moving to Chicago at this point. These thunderstorms that are on the south and west, or south and east, I'm sorry, side of this line are all by themselves. So they have all the rotation to work with in the atmosphere. They kind of are left alone by the under thunderstorms that are next to them. And that's why they can spin up tornadoes really quickly. So we are indeed watching a warned severe thunderstorm. It has a tornado warning on it. Again, it's mainly in rural counties of southern and southwestern Will County, but I want to zoom back in on it and give you a track. Now, we said Simmerton is the next spot on the list, and again, if the tornado is on the ground, that is about where it is. Let me switch over to the velocity data, because this doesn't do a very good job of showing me where the rotation is. And on that velocity data, as I look at the new scan, because I'm analyzing this as you guys are seeing it for the first time, well, that's actually kind of good. There's an ill-defined area of rotation that's just off to the southwest of Simmerton now. So if I were to extend this off to the south and west, kind of where I'm approximating that rotation at for the next, say 15 or so minutes. That'll bring it to just off to the south of Manhattan. It brings it into Wilton by noontime, right on the dot with noon. So 15 minutes, the end of this warning would bring it to about Wilton, and then Andres too, or Andre. So again, sorry if I'm saying your town name wrong. I'm just trying to get it out there for your approximate time of arrival. So watching this very closely, again, you guys are kind of hanging out with me, and I'm getting these newest warnings as we're getting them. And then, as we are zooming back out and watching an unfolding situation, look at this newest warning that has just popped up. So that one down in Livingston County has now been extended into Grundy County. So we are watching that, and that goes until 12:30. So we will absolutely be here with you on the air until 12:30, giving you the latest on these now tornadic warmed storms. We were talking about these early this morning on Eyewitness News. We did have a AccuWeather alert day out, and the reason for that was because we knew when these thunderstorms got going that very quickly they could exhibit signs of rotation. And given what happened in southern DuPage County just a few days ago, we are extra careful, as we always are. We always go on for tornado warm storms, but extra careful to make sure we're bringing everybody the latest weather data. So again, this is out until 12:30, and this also does look like it's over a fairly rural area. I'm going to save this view. I'm going to switch back over to the velocity data and check out this new storm system that's off to the south. Again, spots where you need to be concerned, where you need to be kind of taking your severe weather precautions out near Simmerton. You can see that rotation. It's kind of above the T and the O in Simmerton, so you need to be down in the basement right now. And this is about to outrun its warning box, but that doesn't really matter to me. What matters to me is what's next on this. If that rotation keeps going, they'd warn out ahead of it, and that puts it in Wilton in about 9 or so minutes. So if you're in Wilton, this will arrive before noontime, so make sure you do take your precautions. If you got someone who's out and about and they have to take 52 or 45 home, they seriously have about 5 or 10 minutes to get off of those roads and get into Wilton or wherever you may be taking cover, because that rotation will be crossing that road very shortly after that. Spreading the view again back off to the south and west. So let's go back there. Let's check out this rotation. Unfortunately, this is getting a little bit far away from the radar site, but oh, there you go. There's a really good view of that rotation that is out there. Now, right now, this is not in southern portions of Grundy County. This is still in Livingston County, but I do want to track this one too, and let me get the latest data on it. I got to click on it and actually read through the latest data. That goes until 12:30. As I mentioned, and its storm motion is 40 miles per hour. So we're going to plug that in here. I'm going to give you a nice little track on it. There it is. The green's next to red. It's pretty clear. I've got this set up for 35 miles per hour, which is kind of close enough. So we'll track it out through the next half hour. And that puts it in Dwight at 12:07. That's extreme southern portions of Grundy County. And we're on so aggressively here early because these are moving into our area, and we do expect that to continue through about the next, I'd say 2-3 hours, possibly even on until 6 o'clock this evening. This line, it is more so moving off to the south and west and north and east. So if I were to draw it, this is the storm motion here. The yellow arrow that you see. And what that means is storms are going to train over the same location for a very long time. They're not just moving directly west to east, and if they were, they would move through our area at 40 miles per hour pretty quickly, within just a couple of hours. But since they're moving more southwest to northeast, they're going to hang around here longer. Now, if I were to kind of automatically discount people from seeing some rotation pop up on radar very quickly, it would be folks that are north and northwest of this line. And I know that might be a little bit of a sigh of relief for folks in southern DuPage County, Woodridge specifically, southern Naperville, that saw the EF3 move through just a couple of days ago. You are still not completely out of the woods for seeing one of these storms produce some rotation over you, but you're pretty darn close. You can see where that line is now located. Through the city of Chicago, we still do have to watch it. I am just hearing an EAS and seeing, oh great, this is not good, seeing some rotation showing up on the radar now. So this is going to be for the Chicago, city of Chicago. So you're going to hear the sirens going off in the town. If you are in the city of Chicago right now, you should take your tornado precautions. Everybody within the city. So this rotation just popped up. You guys saw it come on the screen as I was talking about those storm motions, and we are really going to focus in. Right off the top of my head, before I even look at the velocity data, you're going to need Cicero to take your tornado precautions right now. Anyone that's out near Midway Airport, if you know anybody that's at Midway Airport right now, tell them to get to safety. They have tornado shelter signs in there, so go ahead and be advised that they need to do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and just read some of this data that literally just came in because, of course, I went on the air. All right, Tornado radar indicated for Cook County. This goes until 12:15. So we have 10, 25 minutes on this. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over East Garfield Park or West Town. And this is moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. So again, I'm going to switch it on over to the velocity data so that we can take a look at this rotation. And well, we always knew this was possibly going to be the case headed into here. And there is a little bit of rotation now showing up on the radar screen. And we're watching this again as it moves into the city of Chicago. It is a Saturday in Chicago. Maybe you have friends that are out and about. Please tell them, get off of the street now, go into a building and hang out there here until 12:15, because the city of Chicago does have a tornado warning out for it at this time. I'm going to switch back over to the radar data here, and I'm going to kind of give you a view of where I want folks to be paying attention. It's not only in the city of Chicago, it's also down outside of the city as you start heading onto the south side. This goes down to about the cross street of 35th. So if you live north of 35th, you live all the way up into downtown Chicago. Of course, now we're passing Navy Pier at the top of your screen. You are underneath the tornado warning. Continuing on Lakeshore Drive all the way up into the north side. So Wrigley Field is in there too. And this looks like it stops just south of Evanston. So Lincolnwood, you're basically in there too. Anybody who lives around Wrigley Field, you are also in. That extends back to Oak Park, to Berwyn, to Maywood, down to Cicero. As I mentioned, kind of one of the main areas of concern that I have right now would be out near Midway Airport. So again, you're going to want to get people, if you are on any of the expressways, if you have any friends that are on 55, if you have any friends that are on the Ike, if you have any friends that are heading in, you know, from like on I-88, they're coming in for a day down in Chicago, go ahead and tell them right now, especially if they are not quite to, you know, the Midway exits on I-55, to turn around and go home. Do not continue driving to the city. Again, there's a tornado warning out for the city of Chicago until 12:15. I'm going to switch things on over to the radar data, the velocity data, and keep on trying to get scans, because there's a really ill-defined area of rotation in here, but still. With these storms rotating the way that they are, how they kind of rotate for a couple of minutes and then stop rotating, it is something we want to watch very closely. I'm going to switch over to the live Doppler 7 Max and see if that gives me a little bit of a picture, and then switch back over to the National Weather Service radar, and there you go. There's that rotation. It's actually moving directly over the city right now. You can see it pretty clearly here. There's a little bit of rotation not only over Chicago right now, kind of around the Navy Pier area. That's actually kind of right over the loop. So again, if you're in the loop, you're going to want to take your tornado precaution. You're going to want to stay away from the windows. You're not going to want to watch this storm as it moves through. And then there's multiple other areas of rotation too. I know we're warning a lot of people in here, Chicago, and the tornado sirens are probably going off at your town. You're wondering what the heck is going on. Well, remember early this morning, we were talking about this on our air. We were saying that this was a severe weather setup type day. As you hear it now on my phone, sorry about that. They are going off, of course, in the studio because we are underneath a tornado warning. The crew, you guys can get away from the windows if you want to. You guys can head back behind me. Again, I'm not seeing anything that looks like it's on the ground. We're not hearing any reports, but we do want to be as safe as humanly possible. Just me hanging out here in the studio. By the way, if you're in Will County, the National Weather Service has gone ahead and dropped that tornado warning for you. But as we continue to look at the rotation, there continues to be rotation indicated over the city of Chicago. And the reason I keep on repeating myself is because I'm sure people are hearing the sirens going off and wondering what is going on in Chicago right now. Why is my phone going off? And hopefully it's a hit in a lot of those phones and folks are headed back inside. As I look out on State Street, it looks like a lot of people have cleared off the road right now. The bottom line on this is that we have not had any spotter reports of a tornado on the ground at this point. And I have a feeling if there was one on the ground in Chicago, we would be hearing about it right now. But still, you really need to be safe rather than sorry at this point. The good core of rotation does look like it is over the city at this point. I mean, you can see those greens next to red. And if we were to zoom in, this would kind of be on the west loop at this point. But if you are in the loop, If you are north of the Chicago River, you're going to want to take your tornado precautions. If you're anywhere in the downtown area of Chicago, it is mainly over those spots. But again, this does extend up off to the north. You can kind of see a broader greens next to red rotation in this that extends even as far north as like Wrigley Field, Oak Park, Cicero. It looks like most of that rotation has passed off to your east now. So you guys are pretty good to go, although I would hang out in your safe place for a little while longer. And again, downtown Chicago, you continue to see the tornado warning issued for you, and that goes for the better part of the next 20 minutes. What I'm seeing coming into the National Weather Service chat room now is that rotation has tightened on the immediate northwest side of the city, and that is what prompted the tornado warning. So we were watching that, right? Like we can see it right here on your screen. It's just north of Navy Pier. If you know anybody that is in the area of Navy Pier, tell them to get inside and stop looking at the clouds. You're going to want to go ahead and keep your eyes on that. This is now moving towards the lakeshore, again on the immediate north side. And the thing about this is that there's some cells that are not only over the city, but back off to the south and west. You can see these little embedded areas of rotation that are still off to the south and southwest of the city. So while we have not seen a tornado just yet, there is rotation in the storm that could drop a tornado as these storms do move through. I'm going to switch it back over to probably a view that maybe makes a little bit more sense to you, and that is the radar view here. As we, hi Stacy, she's getting ready. But as we take a view here at the radar, I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So you see these little hooks, kind of these little lines that are showing up. One out here towards Brookfield, one out here about Cicero or so, and then another one right here. These are the areas where you might see some tightening of the rotation. And as I change the view back on over, you'll notice, it takes a second, that rotation is also showing up greens next to reds on the velocity data. I'm going to put that watch and warning back on over you. And as we zoom on in, really focusing in here on Chicago, because this is, of course, the biggest area of the warned tornado warning. That's still located over the west side of town. I can kind of see some rotation over here. Let me just show that to you real quick. And then also some rotation that is back off to the west of that too. So as we start kind of heading out onto 290, so the Ike headed into town, or even the Stevenson on the south side of town. Again, if you're just tuning in now, you're just having that warning hit your phone. There is a tornado warning for the city of Chicago. It goes until 12:15, and we are watching multiple areas of rotation that are on the radar, although I do not have any signs so far that there is a tornado on the ground. Getting reports that everybody's phone in downtown did go off. No sirens though. And we've got a couple of spotters that are on the ground watching the storm and the cloud structure out near Millennium Park. So we're keeping an eye on this cell, and we're keeping the warning going too. Again, aware that there is not a tornado on the ground just yet, but with the rotation that these storms exhibit, it could very quickly go from, well, that's an interesting rotating cloud, to tornado on the ground, which is, again, why we're on the air. It's why we're bringing you this information. And for the next 15 minutes, or as long as this tornado warning continues for the city of Chicago and anywhere else in the viewing area, we're going to continue to be on. Again, kind of giving you the 30,000-foot view here. We've got an active tornado warning in portions of Will County. We've got an active tornado warning for portions of southern Grundy County. But this one has not quite moved into Grundy County right now. You see it out near Nevada, those greens next to reds. I'll circle them on the radar for you. I'm going to kind of keep just a side eye on that, right? Because that is over some pretty rural areas, knowing the viewing area pretty well. Same thing down here in southern and southwestern portions of Will County. That's over a pretty rural area. And what we really need to focus on now is the city of Chicago. Again, if you're just tuning in, I'm meteorologist Greg Ducci here with ABC7. We were on early this morning talking about the potential of storms that do rotate today. And we had that line drawn early this morning on the weather maps that stretched from Chicago. I extended an imaginary line down I-55 and kind of cut through the southern and southeastern half of our viewing area. It included Chicago, it included southern DuPage County, it included all of northwest Indiana, and those were the spots we were saying even early this morning that when storms get going, they're possibly going to rotate and produce some isolated, short-lived tornadoes. So we do have warnings up right now for the Chicago metro area. Again, this goes for the next 15 minutes. And what I'm starting to notice is, A, this rotation moving out over the lake, but B, and there's still a decent amount of rotation. This is like right over the loop too, and right over the middle of downtown. It's basically over Millennium Park where we do have that spotter still located. I'm hearing from the National Weather Service now that the initial rotation is just moving offshore to the immediate north of the loop area, and the radar is usually about a minute behind on its swipes. So we're going to see that here again over about the next minute to minute and a half. We'll notice that move out over Lake Michigan, and that will make me breathe a giant sigh of relief. But what won't make me breathe a giant sigh of relief is the fact that we still do see some areas of potential rotation on the radar as the storm continues to train over us. So here's a little area that I want to keep an eye on, and that is still off to the south and southwest of the downtown. If you're on the south side, why not take the precautions, right? Center your house, lowest level. It's where you want to be. If you're in an apartment complex, if you know your neighbors, head on downstairs to your neighbors. I mean, there's going to be some decent winds that are just off the ground with these regardless. So even wind damage is nothing to mess around with. So head on inside, hang out with your neighbors here for about the next 15, 20 minutes. Hopefully we can get this tornado warning out of the city of Chicago and we can get you back to your programming. But until then, we are absolutely positively 100% going to stick with this. Again, areas that I'm concerned about, not only the downtown of Chicago, there is some broad rotation on the north side. I'm not so much worried. I know this warning does extend up like into Wrigleyville and stuff like that. If you live up there, I'm concerned because this is a strong thunderstorm. Like, don't go outside. I'm not telling you that. But again, a lot of the rotation that I'm focusing on kind of stretches from the near west side down the Ike and then south onto I-55, kind of out near the Midway Airport area. And as I was saying, if you do have any friends out to Midway, if you got a flight that's out of Midway, first of all, no planes, I can tell you, are going anywhere right now at Midway Airport. They probably have a ground stop in place, if I were to guess, and they're not going to be moving anything until they are unwarned from this. There's no way planes are getting off the tarmac, and folks in the airport are probably sheltering at this point too, or at least being asked to. I guarantee all those phones had the EAS, just like you did. Getting some, let's see here, getting some newer data in. That's Grundy County stuff, so I'll continue to keep an eye on that. Let me pull out the view just to make sure that this isn't moving over any areas immediately in the vicinity of Grundy County, showing that here now off to the south where we're going to see a little bit of that rotation again down near the Dwight area up I-55. And remember, that's like the line that we drew right along I-55. It extends all the way north. The good news here about all of this is, well, there's our radar site right there. That's the National Weather Service site in Romeoville. So it is very nicely situated to sample these. And again, we really have to focus here on this system that is right now over the city of Chicago. And just by looking at this data, not even looking at the velocity data, I can tell you that some areas where the storm is going to want to spin is right up here, just north of Navy Pier. Another area that the storm is going to want to spin, again, just looking at the radar, is going to be out on the Ike, kind of just, well, the Cicero, like the Central First Ave exit, right? I'm sure we've all gone past those. Those are also the spots where the traffic always wants to slow down too, unfortunately. I guarantee the expressways are going to be a parking lot right now. So please, please, please listen very closely. Do not drive. If you're somewhere, stay there. If you want to get home, but you have to drive, just don't at this point too, because those roads are a parking lot, and if something does happen to come down from the clouds, you're not going to want to be in a car when that happens. You're going to want to be in a building. So if you know anybody that's in this warned area, just make sure that they are at least heeding safety right now. So there you go. That is that tornado warning that exists until 12:15. You look back towards I-55, and again, the same deal here with the Midway exits. You're going to want to go ahead and keep your eye on this too. City of Chicago as well. I'm going to switch things back on over to that velocity data because I do want to take a look at what we have going on for velocity at this point, because we've had a couple of seconds to get a new scan or 2 or 3 scans in, and I want to see exactly what that is exhibiting now. So, all right, to a meteorologist's eye, here's what we got going on. I think that this is the best area of rotation. This is likely why the warning was issued. That has now moved out over Lake Michigan. By the way, I'm hearing that sirens are going off in the city now. But there are little pockets in here where every once in a while, like, it looks like it wants to form a little rotation there. If I were to give you that area, that would be Oh gosh, all the streets are up. So that would be, we'll go down right to the street view. That would be on Ashland and Saramac. Okay, so you're basically just north of I-55 there. Also, there is still, it looks like a little bit of rotation that wants to happen over on the west side of the city too. So that would be right as you're basically getting on the I-90 expressway and, you know, trying to catch 290 and get out of town. Again, do not do that, but that whole interchange spot is where we do see some more of the rotation that is hanging out on the radar at this time. Continuing to watch those two spots, I'm going to go ahead and get them off the screen so that you are not all cluttered, and we're going to stick with this for at least the next 10 minutes. And as I look back off to the south and west, every single new scan, we get a little bit of rotation going on, and this is exactly the nature of these storms. I know it seems like we're being super cautious with this, kind of highlighting all the spots, but this is that transient nature that I was talking about, where you'll get a little bit of a signal for a while, and then it'll go away, and then a new area of rotation will pop up, and then it'll go away. And the bottom line on this, as we come on out to me, is that any one of these spots that we're taking a look at on radar could potentially drop a tornado. So that is why we do have the tornado warning out until 12:15, and it's also why we are on air. Again, there's not much to be doing outside right now. The phones are going off, the sirens are going off, and people are trying to find spots to kind of stay away from the storm. So I'm watching that. Again, that does not look like the rotation, at least in that little spot that I circled, is tightening up, but we are continuing to watch this. By the way, just hearing now that we do have a tornado watch, not a warning, that has been issued. A watch basically means the ingredients are there. Like if you're baking cookies, it means like the flour's out, it means the sugar is out, and all the chocolate chips are out, but you haven't made the cookies just yet. That's a watch. So a tornado watch for Burns Harbor to Michigan City, Indiana. Calumet Harbor is in there. Gary is in there. Wilmette Harbor is in there. As I said, Michigan City too. The southern basically tip, it looks like, as I'm reading through this data, I'm getting it just now, of Lake Michigan. There's also a tornado watch that is being issued. Again, the ingredients are in place. We don't actually see a warning, but the ingredients are there. That watch is for Cook County. We got a warning for Cook County already. DuPage County, Grundy County, Ford County, Iroquois County, Kankakee County, Livingston County, and Will County too. Also, when you head over to Indiana, it's Jasper County, Lake County, as I mentioned Gary before, Newton County, and also Porter County too. So that is the watch. Those are areas where there could potentially be the formation of storms that do produce tornadoes. That tornado watch is valid until 7 o'clock this evening. So here we are just at the very beginning of this and seeing some activity that is straight out of the gates. All right, what am I seeing now on the newest velocity data? I've had a couple of chances to get new scans in. Still potentially seeing some rotation that could be ongoing over the city, although the city does a really good job of muddling up the velocity data with kind of the swirling winds that exist over the city anyway, when you start seeing winds interacting with buildings. But even on the south side of this, there's some spots that look like they do want to rotate, and we've got about 7 minutes still left on this warning. So if anything, we're going to sit here and just babysit the radar for the next 7 minutes just to make sure nothing does pop up. So continuing to watch that tornado warning again for the Chicago area, basically for the heart of Cook County. People have heard their phones go off by now. People have heard the sirens by now going off in the city, and they are going to continue to go ahead and seek shelter. And additionally, and the reason that we're so concerned is there are storms that are off to the south out here through Grundy County that are tracking along I-55 that also have the potential to produce tornadoes. Yes, I'm hearing the producer talk. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead. So Rosa says that we have Cheryl now available. So Cheryl, I'm going to toss it over to you while I get the latest data here. Okay, so I guess we don't have Cheryl's mic just yet, as is the case here with kind of breaking live situations. So I am going to continue showing you what we got going on. Guys, if we could actually switch over to, let's see, this would be the backup computer. It's one of our cameras that is looking north towards Navy Pier. If you guys could switch over to the backup computer real quick, and I'll actually just show you on the Skycam that area of rotation, the area of concern that we saw move through the city. So again, I'll give them a couple of seconds to potentially punch up the backup computer. Or you could just find that camera that looks kind of over the city and over Navy Pier. You can see the Ferris wheel on that view, and then out towards, of course, the Navy Pier area. Not quite that one, although you could spin that camera to the north if you have the ability to control the camera right now. But this is that nice low cloud deck that we were talking about. Again, as we continue this, keep going over to the right, keep looking more northerly. You can keep on going, and this is probably about as fast as the camera does pan. But you can see, as I look at it, a little bit of the lowering of the base of the cloud. Thankfully, this doesn't look super duper concerning to me, but as we do continue moving, I mean, you can see there. See that like lower level stuff that's hanging below the cloud, and there you go. Yeah, now we're getting out towards it. Well, that's the good news, is that is out and over the lake at this point. But on the far right-hand side of your screen, keep on panning over there, you can see this rotation that we were talking about that moved basically over Millennium Park, out over Navy Pier, and out over the greater portions, thankfully now, of Lake Michigan. But again, as we switch things back on over to the radar, you can go ahead and see that we are not quite out of the woods just yet. As I was talking about just a few minutes ago, the fact that we have this cell out in Grundy County, and these cells are kind of moving like this off to the north and northeast. Again, we will pull back up that radar computer so you folks can see that at home. It's not exactly out of the woods time for the city of Chicago. Central Cook County, you still do have your tornado warning for the better part of the next 4 minutes, and there is the radar computer. This is the backup computer that we are looking at this point here too, as they're kind of panning around. I believe this is Larry panning the computer around, showing you what we got going on at this point. And then as we switch back over to the main computer, the one that I can control, we'll show you that system out in Dwight that I was mentioning and kind of the southern extent of the line. Again, got about 3-4 minutes left on this tornado warning. I really truly do hope that they expire it for the city of Chicago, because we have seen signs that the super organized rotation on the radar has moved out over Lake Michigan. And again, you guys can see that in the preview computer, and you can pull it up on the main view so folks at home can see it. And there it is. I mean, we had that sky can up, and I appreciate our directors, by the way, keeping up with me as I'm bouncing around from computer to computer. But our sky cam had that right there. Greens next to red, some pretty solid rotation. It's showing now on the radar computer. It's showing up now on your screens at home, and that is thankfully out over Lake Michigan. But how wild of a sight is that, to have a tornado warning for the city of Chicago, to have the city right underneath that rotation, and thankfully have the rotation tighten up a little bit more outside of town. I guarantee I'd be hearing reports if a tornado is actually on the ground in the city of Chicago right now. So I'm looking at some pictures that have been sent in, on social media from me. I'm going to retweet a couple of those at Dutra Weathers, retweet them right now, right off the cuff. And thankfully, folks, it looks like people are kind of obeying the warning that was issued that goes for, again, the better part of the next 3 minutes. They're probably going to extend this into some sort of special marine warning as it heads over. But this was just wild as it moved in. We had it pinpointed on the radar, again, over the northern side of the city, kind of right between, well, not right between, basically right on the north side of the loop, right in between like Wrigleyville and the north side of the city. And that moved right over Navy Pier. I mean, still, we're seeing that rotation out there over Lake Michigan. Some absolutely wild photos coming in of that. Again, looking at the latest scan, which we just got over the last couple of seconds ago, I'll delete my lines, and that is a nice little welcome sign that the rotation is kind of fallen apart over the city, and that is now not only over the lake, but also falling apart a little bit out over the lake too. Folks that are out on the Ike, on I-55, you got friends or family that are out there, thankfully the situation is looking a little bit better for them, but we are going to continue watching this here, as we do have about 2 more minutes left on that warning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back over to the National Weather Service chat room so I can see the newest data that is coming into me. And I also want to switch over to the wider radar view to look back off to the south and southwest at that cell that is in southern Grundy County. And as I mentioned a couple of times, just because if we get out of this and we get this warning to be dropped, we are still going to have to watch those storms as they pass through during the coming hours, because there is still more off to the south and west. And guys in the back, as I'm talking about all this, do we have Cheryl's mic available yet too, so we can kind of back and forth go between us? Is your mic working yet, Cheryl? It is not. I can see her talking, but not
We're working
yet.
on it. Oh, there we go. I think you can hear me now.
There we go. And that's, I mean, this wham, bam, happened so quickly.
So quickly. These storms just fired up. And this is a different situation than last Sunday. I do want to say that. We have the line of showers and storms. We do have that tornado warning in effect for Chicago, Cook County until about 12:15, so another minute. So we'll see what they do with this warning here in the next couple of minutes. But boy, the downpours, and like you mentioned, some pictures coming in on social media of that lowering of the cloud deck close to the city. So definitely a little bit of an alarming trend here. And I do think that tornado warning for the city has just been canceled and expired. But with that said, we do want to keep everyone alert and on guard. We have some very heavy rain, and we also are going to continue to see these showers and storms, and very easily for these storms today to pick up on rotation, as Greg has been talking about for the past 45 minutes. Truly, we have a dynamic setup here, and we've had this stormy pattern in place for quite some time. So as we take a look at the city right now, we are seeing the heavy rain coming down. As we check in on velocity, what we're noticing is that velocity is broadening. It's not as tight as the circulation, and that is a good sign. As we widen this out, definitely the storms passing that were just in the heart of downtown Chicago and to the north of the city, pushing out to Lake Michigan. But back to the south and west, we still do have a line of showers and storms here. So as we put this into motion, it's going to be this line here that continues to work its way up to the north and west. Greg, what are you seeing? What's the latest?
I'm seeing an area on the radar that I'm kind of scanning around right now, and the National Weather Service is talking about it. So let's pull up my computer if you can. Is that the one that is located behind you? It is. Okay. Sorry about that. So if you're looking out there kind of near Downers Grove and Westmont, Cheryl, there's a little area of rotation that they're talking about, and you can barely see it there with a couple of ticks. So we're just watching that for development right now. I'll let you take the radar back at this point, but watching that, and then of course watching the area of rotation that is pretty significant here down in southern Grundy County, and that is basically what's moving north and northeast over the next hour or so. And as we continue here watching exactly what we have going on, it looks like that tornado warning for Cook County again has been expired. And as I spread out the view a little bit, I want to look back off to the south and west at that system that is over Grundy County. And that currently is looking like it's outrunning its warning just a little bit. So I'm going to pull up the velocity data on this one and see if we can see any rotation, because again, like a lot of these, it's been transient, right? It's been from scan to scan, and literally Cheryl and I both have just our meteorologist hats on right now, and we're analyzing the scans that come in. So I know this is a little bit rough and not polished for live television, but here you go. That's a pretty good area of rotation. That's just off to the south of Kinsman right now, off to the south and southwest of Verona, and then watching another area of potential rotation that's out near South Wilmington. So you guys want to take your tornado precautions as you're in extreme southern Grundy County and into southern portions of Will County, although Will County is not warned just yet at this time. Let's see how long that tornado warning goes for, because we just had like 4 of them issued, so I got to get them all straight. This one, I believe, goes until 12:30. Okay, so we've got 12 more minutes left on this one in southern Grundy County. We're continuing to watching it. I'm hearing that the folks in the back actually have that photo that I retweeted of the lowering of the clouds in the city. So we're going to try and get that up for you. Again, that was just absolutely wild. I went in on air, if you weren't with us, talking about this off to the south. I had spread out the view just to kind of give you the lay of the land of what was going on, and then all of a sudden you see the tornado warning indicators going up for Chicago, and the velocity data showed that rotation very quickly over Chicago too. And again, we have a picture that I retweeted from Kevin Jones that shows that really concerning lowering of the cloud deck that was over Chicago. This is a live view of the city. Thankfully, we are not seeing any of that rotation now over the city of Chicago, and as of about 3 minutes ago, that tornado warning was expired. But as Cheryl and I have been talking about, that doesn't mean that we're exactly out of the woods just yet, because we've got this system that goes for the next 10 minutes, this tornado warning out there in rural portions of Grundy County, and then we've got more action too back on the Doppler radar that is still located south and west of our viewing area. Again, kind of taking a view of that here from the bird's eye view, and as we get that photo, again, it's on my Twitter, it's at Dutra weather. I just tweeted that out a couple of minutes ago, and it's a pretty wild photo. They're getting it. They're telling me in my ear. As, of course, you would imagine, this is a pretty fluid situation that happened awful quickly. All right, what you're seeing coming on the board right now, this is not a tornado warning. That flashing green box that you're seeing, I believe, is either a flood, an aerial flood warning, or a flash flood warning. Okay, it is a flash flood warning that is now out for the city of Chicago and areas along I-55, where I know for a fact, because I listen to Roz and Diane Pathby when they do traffic, they talk about I-55 being a flood-prone interstate. On the Stevenson, there's a lot of spots that collect water and the water pools, so please be careful and just don't go out and drive right now on the Stevenson, because you'll hit that water and you'll hydroplane. We'll talk more about the flash flood warning in just a second. You can see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and wow, that is a photo that could potentially be framed into something that you do not see really ever. I mean, when's the last time you saw something like that over the city of Chicago? That is a very well-defined lowering of the clouds, and this was on the north side of the city, also rotating for a period too. Cheryl, I want you to talk more about this flash flood warning that you have up behind you that just got issued. I mean, the training nature of these storms is just not good for areas that are in the rain right now.
Warning that has now been put into effect for Cook County, stretching back towards DuPage. What we're going to see is this in effect until 6:15, which means we have several more hours of rain and storms that will continue to stream over the same area, which means torrential downpours, very heavy rain, that will continue in the same locations for a prolonged period of time. So from this heavy rain, what we're seeing around the Chicago area and the Cook County, Greg, we still have you. Just want to let you know that we're going to watch out for that ponding of area roadways and highways, ponding of water. So traveling right now, I know Phil is making his way into the studio right now and is just talking about the traffic at a dead stop. So it's going to be definitely messy out there for the next couple of hours. So this is what we do have, that flash flood warning for Cook, DuPage, and Will counties now until 6:15. So please be advised of that. In terms of that tornado warning for the city, that has since expired. We do have a new tornado warning that was just issued and updated here off to the south and west now of Livingston County. But this is the area that we're monitoring, because these storms well back to the south and west, this is what's going to be moving up and lifting to the north. So there you can see this tornado warning until 12:45. This is just to the north of Dawson. Now, this is just outside of our area, but I do want to bring it to your attention because this is all part of that same line that will continue to cycle in these showers and storms. And what you're noticing here is, yes, we do have a line of showers and storms, but you can also see that this line is not fully congealed, and we have some isolated cells within this line of showers and storms. So with the isolated nature and the dynamics in place and winds changing at different elevations, the spin is there. We've noticed this in the forecast late last night and into the day today. So you can clearly see these cells that will continue to develop and stream on in. And any of these storms have the potential to pick up on rotation. That's why we do have that tornado threat in the region. But not only that, we also have a tornado watch that has been issued for Cook County, Will, DuPage, Kankakee, Grundy, Livingston, Northwest Indiana until 7 o'clock tonight. So the severe threat is here. Some of these storms do pose a threat. And in addition to the rotation and the potential here for some tornadic storms, flooding will just be a big concern. And that's one of the main concerns as well as we go into the afternoon hours. So here's this line, that cell, that very strong storm that moved through the Chicago area, now over Lake Michigan. With that said, more rain will be funneling in, streaming over the same area that already got hit hard, back to the south and west. Here's that line of storms that will continue to move in. And Greg, it's really along into the north here, or right along I-80 up 65 or 55, I should say. Sorry about that. This is that corridor where we're going to continue to see that flooding threat as we go into the next couple of hours. So just to update everyone, we don't have any tornado warnings issued for our immediate area, but that flash flood warning has been issued until 6:15 tonight for Cook, Will, and DuPage counties. And this is going to be an area where we're going to watch out for flash flooding. Again, always advised to turn around if you encounter a road flooded with water. You never want to take your chance trying to drive through a highway or a road where potentially it could have up to 6 inches, 12 inches of water. This water is going to come down quick, heavy, and it's going to continue for a period of time. And those are the ingredients that add up to that flash flooding threat. Greg.
Yeah, Cheryl, that's what we were talking about that earlier. Yeah, absolutely. The reason that these are so concerning, and that, quite honestly, the tornado risk for not only Chicago but central and southern Cook County into southern DuPage County, central Will County, that tornado threat still exists beyond this warning that just expired because these storms keep training over the same area. So we're going to see inches of rain in the city. We're going to see inches of rain over Midway Airport and over Cicero and over spots that back up towards Romeoville, everywhere that is in this flash flood warning now, again, that exists for hours and hours and hours, because this isn't going to move very much over the next couple of hours. It's jogging from directly in the bottom kind of left-hand corner of this TV up to, I'll line it up a little bit better, the upper right-hand corner of this television. So instead of that standard like west to eastward motion that you see in storms where, you know, it's a cold front, it's in, it's out, well, those storms are pretty crazy and we're all done. This is going to be a prolonged type thing where hours we're underneath the rainfall, and sometimes it'll be coming down heavy for a long time, other times it'll let up for just a little bit but then start pouring right all over again. That does stretch for areas in Naperville, south into Bolingbrook, south into Romeoville. Let's see what other spots are in this. It stops short, it looks like, just the north side of Joliet, through Hinsdale, through Westmont. Downers Grove is in there, just kind of naming spots. Wow, Evanston is just getting absolutely hammered right now, it looks like, on the north side of town. You guys are probably going to be one of the folks up in Evanston, Wrigleyville, too, that come away with inches of rainfall, maybe 3 or 4 inches of rain through the next couple of hours. Everywhere inside of this box is going to see some localized flooding. If you live in your neighborhood, you know where the streets flood better than I do. You know the spots that when you see a couple inches of rain are going to get the ponding. You know the culverts that back up. Those are going to be the ones that back up here if you are inside of this box, as we continue to see wave after wave of sustained rainfall and even some lightning move over us. What I am seeing now, though, is that we do not have any active tornado warnings across our area. However, we do still have that tornado watch that extends until 7 o'clock this evening. I'm pulling out the view right now, and it looks like one that we're looking at that's outside of our viewing area, outside of Livingston County, is on the front edge of those storms. What's likely to happen here, if I were to play the meteorologist game and, you know, forecast the weather, which is, after all, my job, what we're probably going to see happen here is the areas that are over like Chicago and into southern DuPage County will probably catch a little bit of relief from at least the tornadic threat, and that'll start moving out in front of the line. Like, you see that cell that's kind of located in southern Cook County now and into northwest Lake County eventually in Indiana. It'll be those cells that we have to keep an eye on, kind of south of where you see this radar site, through the next couple of hours for producing the rotation, because again, as I kind of stretch our view back off to the south and west, I know it's a little bit out of our viewing area, but it's a really good kind of bellwether, kind of indicator of where the most favorable tornadic environment is. If I were to draw a line on this directly off to the north and east where those storms are tracking, of course, I move it in live television, right? So let me just draw that again and not mess it up this time. There we go. So you draw that off to the north and east, and this is kind of the area, the corridor, where I want you to be the most alert. Still be alert in Chicago. You got a flash flood warning out, but along the I-555 corridor, a little bit south of that, kind of around the Kankakee area, as you head into northern Kankakee County, central southern Will County, central southern Cook County, and the northern, well, we'll call it all of Lake County, Jasper, Newton County, and Porter County in northwest Indiana. You guys want to be most on the lookout for any storms that may produce some tornadic activity as we move forward through the afternoon. Cheryl, are you seeing anything new on the radar now?
You know, exactly what you're talking about here is just this line, this extensive line of showers and storms. We had very heavy rain move in overnight. We are talking about some of our southern counties here picking up 3 to 6 inches of rain in just the past 24 to 48 hours. This is a really interesting pattern because we went from such a dry spring to such a wet summer. So what we're going to be noticing here is just these showers and storms continuing to stream in. And we did have a few warnings. Some of these storm cells picked up on rotation and spin in the atmosphere. We do have have one tornado warning just outside of our area off to the south and west. So this is the area we are monitoring as it continues to lift up to the north and east. And of course, continuing to watch these storms stream in through parts of the Chicago area. Just an update. We are under a tornado watch until 7 p.m. tonight. Chicago down to the south, all of the counties here in red. So you need to be weather aware, have ways to receive watches and warnings throughout the day. You can find that on the ABC 7 Chicago app as well as the website. Flash flood watch in effect now through Sunday morning. Not surprised about this because of the persistent rain that will continue to stream on in. And a regional view. Here you can see that tornado watch. It's not just through our area. It's stretching up into parts of Michigan as well. A very unstable atmosphere here, and you can feel it outside. It is so sticky. It is so soupy. And then we have these winds at different levels in the atmosphere at different directions. And we have a lot of boundaries out there because of all of the storms that have already moved through our region. So that basically sets up the ability for these storms to pick up on some spin, and some brief tornadoes still will remain a threat into the afternoon and evening. So just an impressive dynamic storm system. As we track these into the afternoon hours, you can still see close to 4 o'clock. We'll look for those storms, but it does appear that threat for the severe weather will start to shift a little bit farther to the south and east of Chicago, northwest Indiana. Our southern counties here already getting hit so hard with rain already. More rain, heavy rain, torrential downpours in the forecast. The good news is once we get into the day tomorrow, we'll see the threat start diminishing area wide, maybe even fit in some peaks of sun in between some scattered showers across parts of the area. But boy, what a day with these storms just really quickly developing into that severe mode earlier today. That flash flood warning in effect until 6:15 now for Cook, DuPage, and Will counties. As we take the warning off, you can see some stronger cells. I do want to zoom on in here just off to the south now of the city, where we're seeing a pretty decent storm cell form here south of Chicago around Harvey, up towards Blue Island. This is just to the east now of I-57. This is bringing down some pretty heavy rain. I can switch over to the precipitation rate, and what we're going to find in some of these storms is that rain will be coming down anywhere from about 1 to 2 inches per hour. So as we put this into motion, there you can see where we have that bright reflectivity close to Dalton. This is where we're looking for that rainfall just coming down. Excess amounts of rain in some of the same areas that have already been hit hard. So monitoring that situation. Let me switch over to velocity. We don't have any warnings here in this area, but you can see a lot of red and green, which is basically indicating turbulent storms in the atmosphere. A lot of heavy rain falling. We'll check in with the hail as well. So some small pea-size hail possible within this one storm as well. So this is one of the strongest storms we're seeing on radar at this time, and we can track this. These are moving pretty quickly. And also a little bit as we continue to monitor this is an interesting storm because what we're seeing now back towards the Harvey area south of Kensington as we continue to focus on this is a little bit of a notch. When we see notches like this in an isolated storm, there is the potential of some rotation here. So I'm going to keep monitoring this closely with Greg as well. And we're getting reports now in from the National Weather Service, and they're watching this storm closely east of Tinley Park, southern Cook County. It's on its own. Actually, a wall cloud has been reported with this storm as well. So this is going to pose a threat with the potential of a tornado touchdown. Again, no warning has been issued, but from my eyes, meteorological standpoint here, when we see a storm cell looking a little bit like this, I can tell you there is the potential of some rotation. What happens is these winds start to flow into this storm, and then it starts to spin a bit. So right around Harvey up towards Dalton, just be weather aware. If you get a warning in this area, and want you to seek shelter and be ready to seek shelter if that does happen. Greg, you're monitoring this as well. What are you seeing?
I am, yeah. So I'm looking at that cell. There was a report of some rotation and a rotating wall cloud out near Tinley Park. And you're exactly right, Cheryl. And the reason that we're still on air, despite not seeing at this point any active tornado warnings, is because this happened in the blink of an eye. Yeah, we went from, and we knew that the rotation was in the atmosphere. It's just a question of when the storms tapped into it. But we went from 0 warnings at 11:30 and what looked like a pretty innocuous cell moving into Chicago at about 11:30, and I even tweeted that out. I said, hey, there's some heavy rain moving into the city. It is non-severe. It wasn't severe at that point. and then the storms tapped into the rotation, and you got the spin going, and it happened very quickly. And now that the storms are kind of hooked in, they got their claws into that rotation, this is the types of things that you're seeing happen. This is a video that I just retweeted a little while ago, and we got it cleared for air, but you can see that lowering of the clouds. This is looking from more on the south side of town, looking up towards the downtown area. Not only are these clouds booking, but I mean, look at that very clear lowering of the cloud base into Chicago, of course, obscured a little bit by the fact that there's so much rain. And that's just the problem with these two, is much like the scenario, this is really the only parallel that I'm drawing, but much like the scenario that happened in Woodridge and Naperville, is that it's rain wrapped, right? So if we get a tornado, it's likely going to be wrapped up in rain, and you're not going to actually be able to see it. It's not going to be a photogenic tornado like you see on the western plains or the front range of the Rocky Mountains, where the air is so dry that all you get is that big rope from the sky. Instead, with the heavy rain, got a flash flood warning out. With the heavy rainfall, these will be wrapped up in some areas of rainfall. So you're not going to actually be able to clearly see the tornado. That's why we're relying so heavily on the radar. But as I said, we're on the air because this is a really fluid situation. And very quickly, over the course of just minutes, you can see things change. And it looks like things have just changed. Popping up behind me are the warning for the cells that Cheryl and I were just talking about. This flashing yellow box is a severe thunderstorm warning. They haven't warned it as a tornadic cell, but tornado possible. I just checked. So the National Weather Service says severe thunderstorm warning with possible tornadoes, which basically means the same thing that I'm saying. They know that these are locked into rotation and that these can drop a tornado basically whenever the storm really feels like it. Winds up to 60 miles per hour. Hail that's about 3/4 of an inch, which is about nickel-sized hail. And that is for Cook and Will County. And it also extends into Lake County, Indiana. And it goes until 1:15. So another better part of an hour that we have. 50 more minutes on this morning. You can kind of see that far eastern extent of it stretching to about Gary. And you're going to want to stay away from the windows as these do push through. To get a really fine granular view, let's pull this full screen real quick so I can zoom in on things and take a look at a couple of radar scans of this latest view of the storm. So again, we got that severe thunderstorm warning. As I mentioned, it goes until 1:15. These are moving off to the north, that's more of a east-northeasterly direction, the way they've got the warning issued. And they're moving at about 40 miles per hour. So first and foremost, let's see who's in the way of this. Harvey, of course, is now out of the way of it. But as we extend where a tornado would form, if it were to form inside of this, off to the north and east at 40 miles per hour, in about the next 20 minutes, actually the better part of the next 9 or 10 minutes, it brings it into Whiting. So Whiting, Burnham, you guys are on the list. Burnham, you're right next on the list within the next couple of minutes. Just go ahead and get on the lowest level if you can. You got some neighbors, you live in an apartment complex. Go get to the lowest level, maybe hang out with the neighbors just a little bit, get away from the doors and the windows. And the reason I say that, and I wouldn't normally say it with just like your run-of-the-mill kind of garden variety thunderstorm, is because this does have the potential, as we saw, to drop rotation a little bit lower in the atmosphere very quickly. And that was a big lightning strike outside of the station. You probably saw it here. Very quickly, it'll drop potentially that rotation and could produce a tornado and be warned as a tornadic thunderstorm in just a 2-3 minute span. Now, I want to take a view here at the rotation of this storm just to make sure that it hasn't popped back up onto the radar scope, and it takes a couple of seconds for the computer to think. So there's a little bit of green next to red in there. Let me redraw the warning on here. Again, there's no real tornado warning, but if I were to kind of eyeball an area of concern, it would be right about here. So Calumet City, again, out towards Whiting, Burnham too. Could be a little rotation. You might see a little bit of spin to the clouds, but nothing that has tightened up. And again, this is warned as a severe thunderstorm with a tornado possible. Dalton, you look like you're doing okay, at least at this point. And as I switch the view back over to the radar view, I want to take a look at the back edge of this here. So we're going to switch it back on over to the radar scope and zoom out just a little bit, because we're watching not only that cell, but also a cell back towards Tinley Park. I saw some reports of rotation out around that area. And these are all spots that are really in the very juicy part of the atmosphere. As you head into northern portions of, or I should say central portions of Will County, southern Cook County, and then on into Lake County. So what you've seen here is over about the last 38 minutes since we were on the air at noontime, is that the worst axis of the storms, which was right here where I drew the arrow in, it has now shifted a little bit more off to the south. And what these storms are doing is they're feeding off of the really wet, unstable air that has not been tapped by storms before. So you will get that very light southward march of thunderstorms, at least the stronger ones, out in front of it, and hopefully that pace picks up and we can get these out of here. But this honestly looks like the better part of the next couple of hours we're going to be dealing with that threat. Not only is it the storm that extends just off to the east of Joliet, so kind of near the Manhattan, the Frankfort area, a lot of lightning there. If you're in Frankfort, you could see winds up to 60 miles per hour as this blows in. So same deal, lowest level of your house, try and stay away from the windows. These are not the storms to watch blow through. And the reason I say that, like, don't get me wrong, I love watching severe thunderstorms. I'm a weather guy, like I'm totally into that. But these are not the ones you want to watch coming through because they could potentially produce rotation very quickly. I wouldn't sit outside and watch them. I don't suggest that you'd sit outside and watch them either, or really even close to the slider. Watching these storms here off to the south too, through central and western portions of Kankakee County. And Cheryl, have you seen anything new come into the National Weather Service chat room, or are we still kind of monitoring these storms in northern and central portions of Will County?
Yeah, we are just still monitoring at this point. We do have that one severe thunderstorm warning on the map, which has been issued for Cook, Will, and Lake counties until 1:15 now in the afternoon. So here you can see this area from Burnham along the lakefront, stretching back to the south and west, close to Tinley Park. There was some reports of rotation in this area. So as we zoom on in, we're going to track this for you. These are moving relatively quickly at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. And these are going to pack a punch with some heavy rain as well as some gusty winds and some small hail. So as this continues to move up to the north and east, Tinley Park basically at about 12:45, and you've been getting in on that rain. Oak Forest at 12:46, Harvey 12:54, Dalton at 12:57, Hammond at 1:06. So this will continue to move through parts of Will into southern Cook counties as we go, or southern Cook County and into northwest Indiana here as we go into the next 15 to 30 minutes. So Frankfort right now, you're getting in on this new Lenox, Tinley Park. This is just off to, or along, I should say, and just to the south of I-80 there. There's Tinley Park. There you can see the oranges, the reds, the downpours that will ensue with the line of storms moving through Tinley Park. We move over to the east because you're all out ahead of this storm. So if we're talking about your city and you're in this warned zone, we want you to be weather aware because this warning was issued with the potential here of a tornado possible as well. So Country Club Hills, there's I-57 down towards Matson, Lincoln Estates off to the west there. Homewood and Harvey, you are out of this storm cell as well. Will gradually progress off to the east even more. Burnham, you just got hit hard with some very heavy rain. Glenwood as well. Hammond, East Chicago. Whiting, you are in the thick of it right now with just torrential rain coming down. Just to the north there of I-80, Calumet City, some light showers, but right along the lakefront there. This will quickly, there's that new scan. It is quickly moving past you, so torrential downpours expected within these storms. So this is the one warning we do have on the map, but in addition, we also have a flash flood warning that was issued with all of the heavy rain that did come down a little bit earlier, just training showers and thunderstorms in this given area. And this is what we're monitoring as we go into the night, through the afternoon and into the night. So there's our one severe storm warning. We also have a tornado warning back to the south and west, just to the south of Livingston County. So monitoring this, you can see the isolated storm cells here, the scattered storms. And you notice there's a line here, this band over Lake Michigan, stretching through Cook County, stretching back through Will, through Livingston. This line will continue to train effectively over the same locations. We've already seen so much rain along and south of I-80, especially some areas 3 to 6+ inches in the past 24 to 48 hours. So it's not going to take a lot for this torrential rain to come down and potentially cause flash flooding across the region. So that is definitely something that we are continuing to monitor. I want to take you back up to the severe thunderstorm warning. Let's pause this where it is right now. I want to switch over to velocity mode. We're tracking this in real time. And there you can see reds next to greens close to Tinley Park. So regardless of the potential of rotation here, very gusty winds possible within these thunderstorms as they continue to roll on through. So as we look at the velocity here close to Tinley Park, wind speed's not looking terribly strong here, but what I am noticing is across Orland Hills, Tinley Park area, there you can see some red next to some green. So this is something that we're going to focus on here. Again, this is a broad circulation. We're not seeing anything indicative of a confirmed tornado or tornado touchdown, but as the storm continues to develop and evolve, this is definitely one area we're continuing to watch here. So I-80 up towards the north, Tinley Park, just to the east now of Orland Hills, getting in some gusty winds. Out ahead of this storm, we are looking at Harvey, Homewood, as well as Chicago Heights. So let's track where we're seeing the leading edge of this velocity. These storms are moving to the east-northeast again at about 40-45 miles per hour. If you're in these cities, you want to be alert. Keep in mind, we've had a few tornado warnings issued throughout the late morning and early afternoon. Harvey at about 12:52. Country Club Hills 12:47. Oak Forest there at 12:44. All right, let's switch back to radar. I want to get a good view of this where we have the severe thunderstorm warning in effect, and the precipitation rates within these storms pretty impressive. We are looking at potentially 1 to 3 inches coming down in some of these given cells within an hour. So that's a lot of rain coming down in a short period of time, hence the flash flood warnings and the flash flood watch that remains in effect. Switching over to hail, we're not seeing too much hail being reported in this storm, so good to see that as well. And I'm also going to turn on Okay, storm tracks. I'm just getting in my ear. We have video of when this tornado warning was issued in the downtown Chicago area. Here come the downpours. You can hear the sirens in the background, people running for cover. I was actually on my way into work hearing the sirens going off. So glad to know that people were being alerted, and it was just eerie to see our vantage point from Navy Pier and seeing that lowering wall cloud over the city. We don't have a report of a confirmed tornado touchdown in Chicago, but again, this warning was issued about a half hour, 45 minutes ago, and you could just hear the sirens going off all across the city. The low-level moisture in place, the clouds so low, the air mass is so sticky, the environment is just prime here for the severe storms through the afternoon and evening. So we're not done with it yet. We could see similar situation like that into the afternoon and early evening. I do think our severe threat here will be in effect until about 6, 7 o'clock, and then later this evening things will start to weaken and move on out of here, and we'll have some quiet weather as we go overnight and into the start of our Sunday, which is good news.